So I'm really, really, really proud of this. And you can't see it, Steve, but one of our metrics, one of our things is that we have the boss seal of approval, all right? We were, you can't see it either, but we were voted best plumber on Long Island the last 2 years as well. So this is a real easy spot for me, right? I'm up here holding a children's toy, and we got the $1 billion idea with home field advantage and our gracious host of probably half of our meetings. So we'll turn pink for a minute. My name is Phil, which is confusing because all the clothes I wear say Tom. So One Tom Plumber, the plumber whose name is his phone number, is actually a national franchise brand. Franchises come with some different pros and cons. I think at the end of the day, a franchisee has an opportunity to bring that brand to life in their market. And as you could tell, I was complimented on my attire earlier. I don't exist to blend in, which kind of has worked for the evolution of, I guess, my personality as an entrepreneur. I'm not a plumber, all right? I'm not. My father is, thankfully. So there is a credible license holder within our business. He spent 40 plus years in the union where he was probably mistreated, taken advantage of. Now I'm doing the same thing for him here on Long Island. So he runs our crews 24/7 across Long Island. I'm gonna run through some slides that help you get to understand, what One Tom Plumber exists to do, who we are. I did notice, because I love that David hit on values and culture, and somehow, again, because I'm rushing and trying to do a lot of things, I did not bake that into our slides. So I'll talk about that for a minute, because at the center of what I do, because I operate 2 different franchises, one I won't speak of, because I think there's a member right now, Steve, in the group. So, but I will touch on my origin story as an entrepreneur. I got into franchises because literally I'm filled with piss and vinegar and I don't know what to do with it. So I didn't have a big idea. I wasn't uniquely talented like Dave is and many of you. I'm not New York's greatest architect. I don't have any of the accolades for doing anything special, but I like to build teams and I like to solve problems. So I have some accreditations in project management. I've worked inside of the New York Rising Housing Recovery Program called, New York Rising through the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery. So I've gotten to work with some really talented people doing some really interesting things. Again, not as a specialist. I'm kind of like a glorified generalist. When it came down to start my own business and evolving from working for somebody to essentially working for myself, I really tapped into my core values. Who am I? What do I want to bring to the marketplace? And it wasn't really about what service I could provide, but it was about what kind of people do I want to surround myself with? Like, who do I want to do work with, face challenges with? And at the core of One Tom Plumber, we've shaped my core values into our core values through what we do. And there are 3 non-negotiables that we've established inside of our business. And hopefully they come through a little bit in the presentation, which is number 1, and this is kind of, think of as if you were on my team. These are the ways that I would say it. Number 1 is you got to be a protector, all right? Which sounds funny in plumbing because you probably think break fix. And I'm in the service business. We're in maintenance. It's like you don't call us till after the drain is clogged, till the toilet doesn't work. But a protection mindset and be a protector goes into don't just fix the thing that's right in front of us, but let's try to figure out why did this happen, how did this happen, and get to the root of, what about the building systems, the infrastructure, could we present options and solutions for it? Number 2 is we're on call until it's fixed. So what that means to me is accountability. And we're on call because literally our phone rings 24/7. So not only does it ring, it gets answered by a live local dispatcher, and we have at least 1 technician who's on call at all hours. And number 3, it's bring the energy. Because if you've ever been in the room with a bunch of plumbers, they probably don't exude energetic enthusiasm. So therein lies the rub and the challenge for us to build a culture and a team that means something. And I'll just kind of get into some of the things that'll hopefully keep this thing on schedule. One-time plumber, stop water damage from draining Long Island. This is a slogan, a tagline, a purpose that I'm rallied around because I started in the water damage cleanup business. And I still am in that business, by the way. So on the back end of disasters, after there's a flood, or we won't get into the other stuff like fires, but let's stick with water damage. Water damage is destructive, and it happens most of the time as a result of bad plumbing or old plumbing. And in the plumbing service industry, we have the opportunity not to just fix something after it's broken, but to maybe think about what's going to go wrong, what's the next thing that's going to pop and give. Because again, one of the main reasons that I wanted to get into another business was because in the restoration disaster recovery industry, you hope that you don't have repeat clients, right? You don't go and be like, wow, I'll see you on the next time you have a 3-story flood that disrupts your entire life and moves you out of your house for 6 months. You actually technically don't want someone to call you in the first place, right? And it's an awkward thing. It's like, hey, I'm Phil. I'm in the water damage disaster business. I hope that your day is ruined tomorrow. So it's kind of crummy, and I wanted to get upstream. These losses are consistently 5 figures, sometimes 6 figures of mitigation, damaged personal contents, reconstruction. So restoration is chaos. I believe that plumbing is the cure. We're part of it. So we launched One Time Plumber in 2023. We're less than a 3-year-old organization to get upstream and stop water damage from draining Long Island. Now, this is what I believe, is that water damage sucks. Like, it sucks. It sucks if it happens to you. If it happens a small, medium, or large way, I think that water damage is not a good thing, right? Somehow, I don't know if hopefully this was on the download, Francesca, because I think it said 1, 2, 3, but either way, number 1, followed by number 1, is that prevention is better than reaction, right? So we are in the break-fix plumbing industry. That's what we exist to do. You call, we answer, we show up. But how can we prevent the next thing? And tying it back to restoration, there's no insurance professionals in the room, right? So, yeah. So has anybody ever used homeowners insurance? Yeah? Has anybody ever had their premium go up? Has anyone ever had a claim denied? Or known someone who had a claim denied? So think of, and I don't know if there's one on the wall, but like if you had the, in case of emergency, break glass. Insurance should be behind that. Like, you don't use it, don't break the glass unless you have to. But in the restoration industry, do you know what we do? We're like, oh yeah, just file an insurance claim. Just call your insurance company. Insurance will cover it. Insurance will pay us. And it's such a bad, bad habit. It's a bad habit. And you know what's happened? It's 2026. The insurance companies, they've been paying attention. So now they're raising your rates. They're reducing the level of coverage that you get. And they're making the whole process somehow even worse, longer, and harder than it was before. And I have a feeling that that playbook isn't going to change in the near future, which means that the best way to use your insurance is to never have to use it. So these are my beliefs. And again, because I'm on the other side and I've come from the other side, I've seen how insurance, while it can support you, it is the option of last resort. So I think that paying attention to your plumbing and your mechanical systems is a great way to insure yourself through assurance. So the real cost of water damage, you got downtime, it affects your margins, and it creates stress. So thinking of this through, because we do residential, but you folks are, we're mostly in the B2B, the trades, construction. We're dealing with facility managers and property managers. So from that perspective, right, downtime means that operations stop, tenants scream. This is cool. I'm not used to having this thing in front of me. When I'm with my team, I always go, point back. Your schedule for the week is trashed. All right. So ruin margins because, one burst pipe can ruin a day. So And the stress, because the cleanup, like the physical cleanup from water damage, is only part of the process. Like you have all of the angst and the other stakeholders and the disruption. So one of the things that, actually the word tenant, right? So when we talk about multifamily, if that plays into the scenario, multifamily or a commercial space, where Brandon left, he didn't want to hear me talk. So all of this falls under my general category of water damage sucks. So why normal? Oh, you can't see that very well, I don't think. But normal vendors fail. Think of a typical plumber, right? Can you guys just close your eyes and envision what you think a plumber looks like, right? The last one that came to your house, or just like the caricature version, right? It just exists. And you guys may have all worked with fantastic, professional, blazer-wearing plumbers, right? But when you close your eyes and you think of the word plumber, you can't help but envision a certain kind of guy. I mean, Mario's a good-looking plumber when you look at it. He won the heart of the princess, didn't he? So,
well, no one's going to say it. You're making us looking at the plumber and seeing a butt crack.
Obviously. I think I even have that up there, right? So you got your typical plumber, right? They say 24/7 on their truck. They don't answer. They say they got your back and they put you on the schedule, if they have a schedule. They say they're going to show up and they don't show up. They're not all like this. We're not all like this. However, there's a stereotype. There's a typical version of the plumber. So what One Tom exists to do is to be the anti-stereotype, right? That's the standard that we hold ourselves to. It's why I'm up here on a stage talking about it, because I want to be accountable to a certain level of 24/7 live local response, being those first responders when something goes wrong, upfront pricing, offering multiple options, meaning options not just to fix the one thing, but hey, the thing happened, it's connected to other things, right? All your pipes are connected. Maybe we should take a look at your 1957 copper that's in another area that's just waiting to pop. And guaranteed no ass crack, chain smoking, or swearing, or your money back, okay? So we're built differently for Long Island. We're built differently. So let me emphasize this. We're based out of Farmingdale. We cover Nassau and Suffolk County. We're racking up all these paper licensing because in Long Island, licensing for plumbers and I think even electricians is unlike anything else that exists in the world. It is the most irrational, nonsensical garbage. They do not, they want you out. They want you to not exist. Go somewhere else is what every municipality basically says. So this is a little fun cartoon that I generated for our proven process. So how to think about us. It's very Mario-esque, right? The pink version. This is our process. We only do 5 things, and they come through in different ways. Number 1, we answer fast. Number 2, we exist to find the root cause. Like, what's really going on? Why did this happen? Empower our clients with options, which means there's not just one thing to do. We don't just fix it and leave, call me when the next thing breaks. All right, so when we're doing it right, we're empowering with options. This is like, see, look at how empowered this fellow looks like. All right, we have state-of-the-art tools like this laser beam, so we fix it right. We fix it right, except when we don't, but then we'll come back and we'll fix it right, because sometimes that happens. And we protect the future. So protection is a really big part of what I think we have the opportunity to do as plumbing professionals, is to not just solve the one thing, whack the one mole that's right in front of us. And we call this the pink plunger promise, all right? We promise to try to do our best to do all these things. And if not, we'll do it right the second time. All right, that formatting sucks. It doesn't matter. This is proof that in less than 3 years, we've earned more than 1 5-star Google review for every day that we're open. So we're not messing around. What does this number say? 1,207 reviews. So 1,200 reviews in, I don't know, maybe 1,000 days. So we ask every single client to leave us a review. And to preferably leave us a review that looks like this, that has words, that describes their experience. So the fact that 1,200 people have gone on, and there's a few that aren't nice words, but there's a lot that are. And it constantly impresses me the type of experiences that my team is able to provide. Because I'm not gonna lie, not every single person who's ever worn the One Tom Pink has been a superstar. They haven't. Like, I'm not in the unicorn hiring business. So something that we're doing, the effect, the process, it's working. Maybe it's the plunger, right? It might be a cheat code, either way. So I'm really, really, really proud of this. And you can't see it, Steve, but one of our metrics, one of our things is that we have the boss seal of approval, all right? You can't see it either, but we were voted best plumber on Long Island the last 2 years as well.
Black looks good.
We are Long Island only, so I know that a lot of folks do business outside of Long Island. Long Island is long enough for us, right? Anybody who's driven from Valley Stream to Greenport knows that it's challenging. How to think about us in terms of your network, your colleagues, the people that you know, work with, probably trust you. The facility pro, AKA like the property manager. The way I think of it, the individuals who have a lot of pipes under management, those are the folks that we exist to be a really useful tool in their toolbox. How we start a relationship in this business is that we just get on site. Walk us through your property. If it's a restaurant, if it's a commercial building, take us through. Oh, this is the place where this happened. Every 6 months we've got to do the thing. All right, now we know. Now we've gotten to know you. It's a way of getting to know the people and getting to know the property. That way you guys can save us in your phone, and if something goes wrong, if the other guy doesn't exist, it doesn't answer, then we're the backup for your backup. It's one of those taglines that I like to say, is that everybody's got a guy. But what happens if and when that guy isn't available, or there are reasons why he can't show up? That's where a company like us exists, and we're the easy button. So you don't even have to remember our phone number, because if you remember our name, you'll remember our phone number. We have 100 phone numbers, but the easiest one to remember is 1-Tom-Plumber. So this is as simple as I think we can make it. As a side note, we make house calls. So again, residential, we actually call it a house call. That's our service to get a Tom to your door. We offer a pink protection plan. So you like that? Yeah. We don't send you a plumber. Plumber is the stereotype. It's that typical guy, right? He's throwing the cigarette butt in your, azaleas. That's not us. You want a Tom. You deserve a Tom, Nicole. All right. So we have this pink protection plan, which I think it's pretty fun. It's cool. We just launched it a few months ago. I think we're up to about 80 members in 4 months. So we're slowly rolling this out where you get all these benefits for $19.99 a month or $199 a year. So the idea of the pink protection plan is to get a plumber on retainer for $200. Remember how I said assurance is better than insurance? You spend thousands a year on insurance and you get nothing for it. So if you buy a little bit of assurance for $1.99 a year on your home, you now have a plumber who's on call, who show up at the drop of a hat with no fees. We're not going to look to charge you. We're going to look to protect you. And you'll get an annual whole home inspection and a slew of other benefits. So that's our value proposition on the residential side, just FYI. I have 2 asks of everybody in the room. Number 1, just remember the number, which AKA is remember the name. All right, 1 Tom Plumber. It's that simple. The pink guys. I have pink plungers. I think I have 7 or 8 of them. I know you'll all come rushing the stage like a rock concert when we're done. And number 2, don't keep us a secret. So if you know somebody who has a lot of pipes, it would be great if they knew me or us, that we existed. So that would be really cool. And beyond that, I'm going to stop talking and I'll see if anybody cares enough to ask me a question. This is a way to save us in your phone. If you want my information, if you don't have it, I have a business card, but this is for the company. So it has our website, it has our socials, it has our phone number, and all that fun stuff.
That was great. Thank you. Do you guys service Navion systems?
We do. I can't send any technician out to service Navion, but yeah, we do. You have one?
Yeah. Well, and we do them sometimes too. It's good to know.
Yeah, not my entire team can't. There's probably one guy I trust. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the not blonde.
You said that you have 24/7 service. How do you maintain like the balance of technician? Is there like a ratio that you use from the amount of customers that you have and the technicians on call?
So I'm not gonna lie, right? Sometimes the phone doesn't ring on a Tuesday night, and then sometimes it rings 5 times. So we have a rotating schedule where there's always, one person on call. If 3 calls come in within like a half hour, then we kind of go into scramble mode, see if we can tag in a guy who's not on call to respond. And sometimes we're honest with the client, like, hey, this is gonna be hard. It might be 3 hours, 4 hours before we can get there. We could get there. It might be 2 a.m. because we're responding to a 10 p.m. call. And sometimes, clients are like, oh, can you get here at 7 or 8 in the morning? It's like, yeah. And then we figure out the next day's schedule and we bump it. Like it's a fire drill, like at the end of the day, you can set a plan, right? How often does the plan actually happen? So a lot of it is respond and react. So that dispatcher is always on call, like the CSR who answers the phone. I always have one person with redundancy. So if nobody answers, boom, 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 my phone rings. The technician, honestly, other than our early days, our technicians are solid. Our TOMs are reliable. They're not disappearing and ghosting us so that when a call comes in. But yeah, from a staffing standpoint, right, from manpower, we go, and maybe this helps somebody tactically, but we have somebody who's on call every Monday from 5 to the next morning's open. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then a rotating schedule for the weekend. So from Friday close to Monday open, we have one technician who's on call, and we usually try to double down on a Saturday, have somebody who backs up that Saturday. And sometimes we have some scheduled work, because Saturday, right, everybody's mostly working Monday to Friday. People don't view Saturday as an emergency. So as we continue to scale, we're probably gonna start treating Saturday more and more like an operating day, but we still treat it like an emergency basis. But it's hard. And I was just telling Anthony when we were chatting in the morning, like, just building a team that you can count on, that I can come up here and say these things and then someone backs them up. It's, yeah. If it was easy, I guess everybody would do it, right?
All right. Go ahead,
What's up, Carla?
Are you chasing any traditional work, or is it all emergency service, or if do you have a carved out for like a division that say, this building, they were like, hey, we've been needing to, change some faucets and do some things when you get to a type of deal, or because I know the emergency service works a lot different than really, planning out a little bit bigger project. What are you focused on and looking for?
So I'm going to use that word focus, right?
Yeah.
What I say is we're built for speed. If you've ever pulled a permit, those two things don't usually get along. So what I say is that do not think of us as project plumbers. Can we do it? Yes. Have we done projects? Yes. If you can break your project into smaller phases, rough-ins and, a batch kind of replacement, yeah, we can do it. But I want to, no pun intended, our A+ service is if the pipe is leaking, if the faucet stops working, if the toilet is clogged. So I don't want to let getting involved in those sort of things distract us from our core focus, which is responding quickly, prepared, and professionally. So if I can't let that impede on what we're doing, we have 6 trucks right now, and they're not all presently filled. So like I said, manpower is a challenging thing. As we grow and as we scale, divisionalizing certain things, maybe even I get one guy who could be my project plumber, I'd love to get there, build more of a dedicated underground team for replacing sewer laterals and water mains. And there's plenty of room to grow. But we are not the ones who are going to help you build, anything that James designs. I'd love to look at the pictures, but don't show me the plans.
So you're a franchisee for 3 years now. Has the national headquarters, like helped you guys grow? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, and being a franchisee in two different systems, I actually get to compare and contrast because I've been in United Water Restoration for 7 years and One Tom Plumber for 3. You see the things that each one of them does, better or not to help support you. But at the end of the day, like, I didn't come up with a logo. I don't come up with I didn't come up with a color scheme. I didn't come up with some of the basic elements of who we are and what we do, but I've definitely taken them and personalized them in terms of how it manifests here on Long Island. I have the resources behind me. So for instance, if I would have tagged in with enough time, corporate to help me put together a slideshow like this, they would do it. They would probably put it together for me because they do have a pretty strong marketing team, but it would be missing something, right? It would be missing my touch. It would be kind of generic on the brand. What I've liked about getting involved in 2 franchises that are early in their trajectory, because this is still a very, very young national brand, is that you getting in early helps you kind of shape the trajectory of the national brand, and it's a blessing and a curse because sometimes I'm like, I wish they had some more ready-baked stuff that I could implement. Like even if you were to, not that you can, but if you were to buy a McDonald's franchise tomorrow, you have to buy it off an existing franchisee. They're probably all spoken for. But like McDonald's will tell you like where to stand, the exact angle to flip the burger, right? And what's nice about that, what's comforting is like, this is great. I don't have to experiment. I don't have to think. On the same token, if like Ronald McDonald was standing behind you, he'd be like, the burger is, it's the wrong angle. There's 13 seeds on this bun. There should be 12, right? So you're like, I don't want to be micromanaged, but tell me how to do it, right? So humans are never happy. So franchisees are never happy. So what I say is just make the best out of, it's kind of like a marriage. There's a way out of it, right? But like you're committed. So the way I view being a franchisee is hold the franchisor accountable to support you at winning in your market, collaborate, because what's cool about Boss is we're in the same network. We want to help each other win. Well, what's cool about being in a franchise is that not only does everybody want to help you win, but they're operating this same exact business model as you. So if you don't tap into the franchisee community to see what they're doing, what's working, what's not working, best practices, then you're really undervaluing the franchise fees and the royalties that you pay from being a franchisee. So there's definitely more to unpack there, but Jamie, hopefully that gave you some context. Cool? All right. Thanks for your attention, guys.